The M18 is the current standard issue handgun for all branches of the US military, except for the Coast Guard. For this video, I will be talking about the M17 and M18 almost interchangeably. It is a recoil-operated, striker-fired handgun chambered in 9mm. In 2015, SIG would submit a P320 with a thumb safety and milled slide for Army testing in the Modular Handgun System competition. In 2017, SIG Sauer would win and be awarded a contract to replace the currently serving M9 Beretta. From its inception, SIG has been shrouded in controversy, from the drop-safe allegations to the claims that SIG cheated in the MHA's trials. Today, the handgun holds a strange place in the opinion of the shooting public. Alright guys, so disassembly is pretty simple on the M18. If you've taken apart a Glock or a 1911 or an M9, this is going to be pretty simple for you. Send our bolt forward, take it back, just make sure it's clear. I kind of hate when YouTubers say that, like they're like, oh, clear your weapon. Like, yeah, moron, I have the weapon cleared, right? I trust that you guys are like competent. Anyway, rotate your takedown lever. Now you have your polymer grip with fire control group, and you have your slide, barrel, and fucking guide rod and spring. Unlike the M9, this is captive, so it will not split apart and hide. We've got our barrel, very simple, right? We've got our SIG Sauer M18 barrel. And then we have our striker system is up in here. Pretty simple slide. These are our holes that keep our rear sight and red dot plate on. We're gonna set that off to the side. You'll notice that mine says P320 M18, but the firearm I use at work just says M18. This P320 is absent. If you look at the rear sights, I do not have an Allen key. I just have a push straight in. That is supposedly to be tamper-free. They don't trust airmen and soldiers to not take them apart when they're bored. So the civilian one, you push in, slide the plate down. The military version, you have to have an Allen wrench to actually pull this rear plate off. So thank you, Uncle Sam, looking ahead. You have your takedown lever. Just pop that straight out. Do not do this at the armory. They don't like that because some people will put the slide back on without putting that back in, and it messes up the gun, all right? I've seen it happen, all right? You tell somebody how to do this once, they do it, they think they're cool. This is your grip, right? We don't need that anymore. This is our fire control group. This is the only thing that the ATF actually views as a handgun or as a gun at all, right? In this whole thing, everything else you see before you, you can buy these. If you're in the military, we have medium, small, and large grip modules. You can ask, the armory will give you one, but most people just get the medium. I've only seen one guy use the large, and he was about 6'5" and 300-something pounds. And I've only seen two people get smalls, and they were like 5 foot nothing. So the medium probably fits you, but you can easily swap this out. You can also, if you put, you can swap the safety to either side. Push that in, push a little paper clip into the rear. There's a little hole, and it's pretty easy to do. I've done a couple dozen of them. Reassembly is a breeze. We're going to take our fire control group, right? Which I don't think we need to take down any further. This little notch, you can cut this into a standard P320 grip with like a Dremel tool and make it an M18 grip. Just fun fact. Sometimes you can get the M18 compact grips like dirt cheap. Push that in there. It's kind of awkward to do on camera, but trust me, I am like capable. It slides into like a deal. Oh, there we go. You have to have it on fire because the trigger has to be depressed for it to fit back into there. Just gee whiz information. You can take your takedown lever, which is also, I guess, kind of your takedown pin. But slide that, right? Florida, Oklahoma, right? Oklahoma, Florida. It made more sense with the Beretta, but that's just funny little deal, you can say. You get your barrel, slides back in there. Got our guide rod, guide spring, captive. You're going to notice that this is an oval on my gun, but it's going to be a standard circle on your duty M18. So this, I should have put it like this, or else it won't go back in. But they had to dummy proof the one that they gave the military because you can't trust 18-year-olds with anything. Anyway, safety on, forward, send it forward. Standard function check, right? Safe, does not fire. Fire, should fire, and reset. This is a semi-automatic only handgun, so there's no third position, so the function check's fairly easy. Cool trick, right? Don't tell SIG about this, but you can depress the trigger, right? You can pull that, nothing happens, right? But you pull the slide, it fired. This is the case with every duty M18 I've ever picked up, and I've picked up a lot of them. So I think they're probably drop safe, but as soon as it goes out of battery, it will in fact fire. So just fun fact with the M18, we've got 17 rounders. I like the 17s, and then get the 21s as well. Combat load for the Army and Air Force is 2 of these 21 rounders and 1 17 rounder. I like to keep the 17 in there just because getting in and out of cop cars is a lot easier with a shorter magazine. And with the extra 4 bullets cost me my life, then I fucked up along the way, right? I should have my M4 with me, and also maybe I should make the first 17 shots count. Anyway, disassembly, reassembly of the M18 modular handgun system. All right, good morning, YouTube. Today I will be talking about the Sig Sauer M18 modular handgun system, right? This is the standard issue handgun for the United States military. The Army obviously has the M17, but they are almost identical. The only difference being the barrel and slide. So I'm gonna refer to them both as M18 today. There's gonna be people in the comments and be like, oh, technically it's M17, M18. All right, we're talking about the M18. I've been carrying one since May of 2021. This was the first duty gun I ever got issued. When I got to Alaska, to my first duty station in May of 2021, I was given one of these in the package, right? We had just gotten them at J-Bear. They had just pushed them out to flight, and mine was still in the Cosmoline, in the grease, in the box. So I took it, and this was the first weapon I ever qualled on outside of like tech school, right? I qualled on the M9. I shot the M9 in tech school. Trash handgun. I've shot the Beretta a lot, right? Just working with the Beretta. This is a far better handgun, in my opinion, right? Maybe the Berettas we had just happened to be in service since 1977 and they were suck. But I saw, like working like on the firing line and stuff at J-Bear, obviously base pop still used the M9. So for about 3 years, I saw the M9 in use for pilots and medical personnel and whatever. And this malfunctions far less often than the Beretta, or at least the Berettas we had. Right? The M18, the trigger's trash. That's the first thing I'm going to say versus the Beretta. I just think it has a terrible trigger. But the safety's far better. It's a striker-fired gun. I would say the trigger might even be worse than a Glock, in my opinion, right? It's really squishy, right? Like, terrible trigger, in my opinion. But it is fairly light, and if you wanted to, you could go in and put the red springs on it. And I've heard that makes them a lot better. The sights are also different than the Beretta, right? You had equal height, equal light. With the Beretta on these, they're combat sights. So you have 3 tritium dots. Put that on camera. Try not to point it at my arm. But I like them. They glow in the dark. The first batch did not. So you sometimes see duty M17s and M18s where the rear sights do not glow or where the front sight does not glow. They had a bad batch. They also had a bad batch early on where they didn't Loctite this rear plate on. So I have seen dozens of these fly off into people's eyes while shooting. So that's super cool, right? SIG. There's been rumors that these are not drop safe. I've seen them go off, but every time I've seen them go off, I believe it was the shooter's fault, most likely. There was one iffy one. I saw one go off. Well, I didn't watch it. I saw the security camera footage, and I talked to the people who were there because it was while I was off duty. But somebody put a mag in, sent it forward, and it went off in the barrel. It was a competent dude, right? I don't know. It's up in the air. I don't know. It didn't look like his finger was in the trigger well, but you can only see so much from a CCTV camera mounted on the far side of the room. Either way, I think they're fairly safe. Obviously they go off sometimes, so I think it's usually people are like joking around with them, right? And if you joke and gesture with your weapon on duty, like sometimes that happens, right? But overall, I think they're a really safe handgun. I really like the thumb safety. If you've shot the 1911, then this is going to be a very comfortable safety for you. It's ambidextrous, right? If you're a left-handed shooter, right? Like if you're wrong-handed, it works. If you're right-handed, it works. We also have an ambidextrous slide release. So if you want to release it with this side, doesn't matter. Completely ambidextrous firearm. Magazine release, completely ambidextrous as well. You can swap sides, super easy. Overall, I think most people shoot better with the M9 than the Beretta. or with the Beretta versus this, just because the trigger is so much better and just hammer fired handguns are hard to beat. But you get more ammo. Once people get the hang of this, I've seen a lot of people shoot really well with the M18, especially people who train with it. I think it's a good handgun. I think if people practice with it, it's a great handgun. I know some units have the Romeo 1 has been authorized by the DoD for use on these handguns. You lose your rear sight, which is a bummer because you'll notice the rear sight is actually affixed to this plate. So you pull 2 screws out, plate comes off, put the Romeo on there. But I've heard it's a pretty decent red dot. Hopefully someday I'll get to use one. We have a rail on the bottom. I've never run a light on this because this is my holster, right? It doesn't allow for a flashlight, and I'm not allowed to bring my own holster from home. I keep the gun on safety every time it's in the holster, but most people don't. But I think if you practice with it, safety off, safety on, safety off, safety on, safety off, safety on. But yeah, we use the Sparland holsters at work. I think they're a terrific holster, personally. Double lock, doesn't take long to pop the top, push the button down. I know some unit SOPs are to remove this or to keep it pushed down all the time, but I don't mind. I mean, you should be able to pop it, in my opinion. If you're training with this, you should be able to keep it double locked. But overall, terrific handgun. I've shot it a lot. I obviously trust my life with this handgun. A lot of times I would rather not carry a handgun at all because I have a primary weapon system, right? If I have an M4, I shouldn't need a handgun, in my opinion. But sometimes you want a handgun on if you have to put your rifle in the truck or something, it's nice having something in reserve. And if I'm going to have something, I want it to be something ergonomic. And I had a few malfunctions early on, right? When I first got this out of the box, it would fail to lock back. But after the first 100 rounds, I've had minimal malfunctions with M18. I would say the biggest thing is the magazines, right? This is the 21, and I have also a 17. These sometimes get weak springs, and they will fail to lock the slide back. This is the biggest malfunction I've seen, and then obviously the rear plate coming off. But overall, pretty solid handgun, much better than the Beretta. I prefer the Glock 19, right? I carry a Glock 19 when I'm off work, and I think it would have been cool if we would have gotten the 19X. Right, a Glock 19 with a 17 grip and a thumb safety would be badass, but we didn't. We got the M18, and I'm pretty happy with it overall. I think it's a solid handgun, and I think it's definitely, whether or not it's your favorite handgun, it is going to live on as a handgun that is competent enough, right? Like, I think there's a batch of handguns, right? If you have a 1911, if you have the M9, if you have a Glock, anything in 9mm or 40, like, these are handguns that people may argue about, but they are all decent enough, right? None of them is the wrong option, in my opinion. This is just the flavor we happen to have, and I like it. So that's my thoughts on the SIG P320 M18 M17. All right, thanks for watching. I recently did a review on this tri-rail from Midwest Industries on the AP5. The video got like 20 views, so in case you missed it, the tri-rail is in fact cool, and we have a flashlight review coming soon. I've got a handful of flashlights. Let's just say Surefire might be in the running. Let's say some Streamlights and some other cool flashlights, so keep an eye out for that. It's going to be cool. And yeah, the M18, I hope you learned something about it. Cool handgun. If you liked the video, like it. If you didn't, dislike it, and leave a comment, whether it's good or bad, in the comments. I love reading the comments. They're maybe my favorite part of having a YouTube channel. So, leave a comment telling me what you want me to review. Or if you want me to delete the channel, tell me that too. Whatever you want to say in the comments, say it. Thanks for watching.